Hey everyone, welcome back to this new channel, Off-Grid Smart Home, which is documenting my journey through moving into our brand new off-grid home to turning it into what is hopefully this incredible, fantastic off-grid smart home. We're going to be using smart technology to make our lives more convenient, more exciting, but also more energy efficient. So if that sounds interesting to you, please click subscribe here, follow this channel, get notifications when I release new content. We'll be doing all sorts of smart tech reviews. We'll be doing tours of the different rooms that we sort of develop in the house as we go. And we'll also be talking through our off-grid systems and what it's like living off-grid for the first time. So in this first episode, I want to give everyone a tour of the house as it stands right now. So it's the middle of March here in Canada. The snow has started melting, which is fantastic. The river is still frozen, and we've been living here for about 6 weeks. So the house is still very much in disarray. Boxes everywhere, we're unpacking, we're tidying up, we're cleaning up, construction materials, all while figuring out living off-grid for the first time. I already have some smart tech implemented in the house, doing some of the basics, but it really is just a few things, and it's bare bones at the moment. So throughout many episodes, you're going to see me introducing all sorts of smart technology throughout the house, as well as expanding our off-grid capabilities. I'm hoping to have lots of conversation about all the different options there are for smart tech. Obviously, we're in an interesting state at the moment where we have this Matter technology coming out, hopefully this year. It keeps getting pushed back and back and back, and we've just had an announcement that it is pushed back towards the end of 2022. So, I'm stuck in a bit of a tough situation at the moment as, do I wait to purchase some things that are Matter compatible, that have thread technology built in, or do I bite the bullets and get some of the existing tech, which is still pretty great. Obviously, there's so much content to cover. We'll be making tons of decisions from, light switches to smart switches to thermostats, to even just discussing the infrastructure that the house runs on from a smart technology perspective. And then we'll be integrating it into our off-grid system to see ways that we can make that better, more efficient and improved. So about 8 years ago, we decided to purchase this land on the river. I whitewater kayak. My wife and I enjoy being on the river, being on the water. It's something we've done all our lives. So we knew we wanted to build a house here, but the problem was there was no grid electricity, no internet, and the road down here was barely developed. Luckily, the landowner, or the previous landowner, has developed the road in as he wants to continue selling more lots of land. But as it stands, there's still no grid electricity. But we didn't want that to slow us down or stop us, especially with all of the advances in off-grid technology. So we decided we're going to make a commitment. We're going to build this home that we've dreamed of, and we're going to do it off-grid. What that means is, we were looking at solar electricity as sort of the obvious choice for providing electricity. And then we have access to propane. So the propane companies will deliver to us, which is fantastic. So part of the decisions throughout the house were selecting a lot of the appliances and infrastructure to run off propane as well. When you're making a decision to live off grid, it really is an obvious choice as to what you're going to use to provide your electricity to generate it. Solar power is the best option. So that's what we started looking into. And really, it seems quite affordable these days. I think prices have come down quite a lot as technology's advanced. Batteries and solar panels have become so much more efficient that you can get, some really great setups. So I'm going to start walking you through the setup that we have on our brand new off-grid home. As you can see from these drone shots, we have 3 different solar arrays. We have one that's on the roof facing east, and that's a 4-panel array. We have one that's on the roof facing west, and that's a 6-panel array. And then we have one facing south that is a ground-mounted array. I'm going to talk through a little bit as to why we have those 3 different solar arrays and not just one. The more I looked into solar power, the more I understood that, one set of solar panels pointing one direction is not necessarily the best choice. As we all know, the sun moves throughout the day at different times of the year. The sun is, at different heights in the sky and moves in different places. So what we've tried to do here is create 3 different solar arrays that really help power the house and are suitable throughout 12 months of the year. So to start off with the solar panels on the roof, they're facing east and west. Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. It's as simple as that. And in the summer months, the sun is nice and high and it's beaming down on these solar panels. And as it moves across throughout the day, it goes from the panels in the east charging to both sets of panels charging, and then the panels in the west are charging. So in the summer months, they're fantastic. They're at a very shallow angle. They're not steep. They're at a very shallow angle. And when the sun is high, you get a lot of efficiency from these solar panels. That's fantastic. The problem is in the winter months, the sun is a lot lower in the sky and it doesn't get above the trees that we have sort of surrounding our house. Also, when the sun is lower in the sky, those shallow solar panels are far less efficient. Sort of maximum efficiency is when the sun is hitting your solar panels perpendicular. So we decided to go with a company from Ontario, which is great, called Microgreen. It was recommended by a friend who actually also lives off-grid. And they have sort of an all-in-one system called the Power Pack. Now, this is a system that's been around for quite a while, I think, and has gone through various iterations. And from my understanding, some of the older iterations maybe weren't as good. I don't have much experience to base it off, other than sort of the reference from a friend who has a good experience. And we've had it operational here for quite a while now. We moved in January, but it was actually operational since September, and it seems to be working really well. So this power pack contains your charge controller, which takes the electricity from the solar panels and puts it into the batteries and charges them in a way that is, optimum for the type of batteries we have. The power pack then also has an inverter, so it takes the electricity from the batteries and puts it into our regular electrical panel and then powers the house. And our goal of living in this house is we have a normal house. We're not living off-grid from a perspective of, bare bones, and we're doing what we can to get by. We want to have an amazing off-grid experience where we have everyday comforts that you would as if you were hooked up to the grid, as well as the power pack sort of taking care of powering the house. It also has sort of a backup system for the scenario where our batteries get too low and don't have enough electricity to power the house. And that's quite a common scenario in the winter. You're only getting a few hours of sunlight in a day. Some days you're not getting any sunlight and your solar panels aren't doing anything at all. And at that point, when the batteries drop below a certain percentage, the power pack actually triggers our generator outside to turn on. And what that does is the generator runs and charges our batteries directly to bring the battery level up. So we have a bit of a fail-safe there where if the solar system isn't working or if the solar system isn't getting enough sun, then our generator turns on, charges the batteries and gives us enough electricity to continue. And all of that's automated, which is fantastic. It's a stress-free system where it just turns on and it works. And our generator is a propane generator, so as long as our propane tanks don't run out, then really we shouldn't have any problems of not having electricity here. One of the big considerations was when designing the house was what should we have running off electricity and what should be running off propane or an alternative. And there's some things that have to run off electricity, and that's completely fine. But when we were looking into it, we figured out that there were lots of things that didn't have to. So first of all, heating is an important one. Any electrical heat is extremely energy inefficient when you're thinking about using solar energy. So you want to try and stay away from any electrical heat as much as possible. We built this house on a concrete slab, no basement, and we actually have in-floor heating throughout. So we have a propane boiler that turns on, heats glycol, and pumps it around our in-floor heating. It's a really energy efficient way of heating a house. The floor in your house retains a lot of the heat, and it's a really nice way of heating a house as well. It feels fantastic on your feet. This same Weissman boiler is also a hot water system. So when you turn the hot tap on, it stops heating the floor and it turns its energy to heating up your hot water with an on-demand system. So far we've been really impressed. And that was a way that we could avoid using electrical heat. Before we move on to some of the other appliances in the house, another way that we actually design the house to heat very efficiently is our use of these fantastic big windows on the front of the house. Like I said, the house is facing south, so we get a lot of sunlight coming through these windows, and it actually heats up the house very nicely, especially in the winter. Now, as you can see looking at my thermostat at the moment, my thermostat is set to 22 and the temperature in the house is 23.5, 24. And that's because of the passive energy, the passive heating coming from the sun heating the house through the windows. Now, that could also be a downside in the summer where it actually heats up your house too much. And that's why we have this overhang on the front of the house, so that when the sun is higher, it's actually shaded and blocks the windows from the direct sunlight. So I don't know how that's going to work yet. It works in theory, but maybe in a few months I'll circle back to this topic and we can see how it's working for us. As well as the in-floor heating, We actually have an HRV as well. Now that's mandatory in new build houses these days to make sure that you have fresh air coming into your well-sealed, well-insulated house. But we actually utilize that as well to move that nice warm air around the house and move it upstairs. So the only heating we have in the house is the in-floor heating on the ground level, or the fireplace. What the HRV can do is actually circulate that nice air around the house to warm up the upstairs. So it's a really nice, efficient way of doing it without having to have another heat source upstairs, or pay a lot more for in-floor heating upstairs, which quite frankly we couldn't afford to do. So the HRV works really well from that perspective. The only problem right now is I can't find a smart thermostat that really gives you the full functionality of the HRV. So at this point we're still using the dumb controls for both the HRV and in-floor heating thermostat. And I'll do another episode on it, but right now at least I have found a short-term fix with a smart plug, a thread-enabled smart plug, and it works really well in me being able to set a schedule and a routine for my HRV without actually losing the functionality, the full functionality that the HRV dumb control panel provides. From there, once the heating was taken care of, it really came down to some more exciting elements anyway, or exciting appliances. The first of which being the fridge. We were looking into some propane fridges, but they really weren't sort of widely available, and they were very much bare bones. They weren't as modern and as up to date. So we decided to commit to go with a really energy efficient Samsung fridge. We didn't go with a full smart fridge with the big screen on the front, mainly because I actually didn't want a fridge with a big screen on. But we do actually have Wi-Fi connectivity to it, where we can monitor the energy consumption, we can change some of the settings, change the temperatures of different settings, and it can also notify us if my 2-year-old son has left the fridge door open. I get a notification on my phone, which is great. In addition to that, we decided to go with a KitchenAid gas-powered range. So this is the commercial style range. It's 36 inches wide, with 6 burners on top, and it uses our propane as well, but it is fully Wi-Fi compatible, and I can turn it on from my cell phone. I can tell it to turn off as soon as my timer is complete, which again saves just that little bit of energy. Heating with electricity is about as inefficient as it gets for an off-grid home. So selecting that gas-powered oven and range was really, really important. And so far, the KitchenAid design has not let us down. The other appliance that you have in your house that heats significantly is a dryer. So again, we were able to find a propane dryer, which I didn't even know existed. And this one, unlike the fridges, looks just like a regular dryer. You can see here we've got our LG washer and dryer system, and all of the heat in the dryer comes from propane. You pay a couple of $100 more for that, but really when you're making the choice to go off grid, those are the things that you have to select. Smart security is one of the big topics we'll be talking about in this channel, And although I'm a long way from having the full system that I would like, I have already implemented a few things that give us the added comfort from day one. The first of those is the level lock. So I really like the level lock. This is a very cool smart lock that is very discreet. The reason I like it so much is you can utilize your existing deadbolts in your doors and turn them into a smart lock. So we chose the level lock to go on 3 external doors, and then we actually chose the level lock touch edition for our front door. They're battery powered, which means there's no added draw to the house, but I don't think you find any smart locks that are wired in anyway. But what this allows us to do is, set routines and shortcuts for locking and unlocking the doors. They currently unlock when we arrive home, and when I go to bed, they will lock all of the doors, or they'll lock when we leave the house as well. So really fantastic just having a smart lock. Generally, it saves the headache of forgetting your key or forgetting to lock the door. I really like the level lock because it's so discreet and it doesn't look like a piece of smart lock on your door. And that's really important for me, but also for my wife. She doesn't want our house to seem like this super high-tech robot house, and I completely get that. So the level lock's great from that perspective. I'm going to do a full review on it because we have been using it for a few months already. It does work well, but there are some challenges with it that you wouldn't get in some of the other locks, and that maybe, hopefully will be resolved by the release of Matter technology in the future using thread. When we were designing the house, I think we put so much effort into thinking about sort of our view and utilizing all of the windows so that we get a fantastic view, and factoring in all of the off-grid components, that we didn't actually put much thought towards our television and sort of placement of where that's going in the living room. So we actually end up deciding that the best place for it was above the fireplace. And I know already with many of the Europeans that are going to be watching this video, that's considered a bit of a faux pas, and it's not very common over in Europe, and some people in North America love it, some hate it. For me, it's not my favorite thing, and so I was reluctant, but it really is the best place for it in our house. With that in mind, we didn't want this big black TV on the wall above the fireplace, sort of being a bit of an eyesore. So we actually chose the 2021 Samsung Frame TV. When we turn it off, you can display a picture of your choice. And it looks, a bit like a picture frame on the wall. I haven't yet bought the additional frame that you can attach to it that really makes it look like a picture frame. But even now, I think it's really cool, and it's far more dynamic than just having a black screen when you turn off your TV. So initial instincts are very, very positive about it. But again, I'll do an episode and review the Samsung Frame TV in much more detail moving forward. As a side note, I was concerned about the power consumption of the TV when it wasn't being used, but it looks like it's like single digit number of watts, so less than 10 watts, which is the equivalent of one LED light bulb. So it's really not a concern. So that's the extent to the smart technology that we have in the house so far. I'm going to be really diving into some more of the decisions that we make, whether we're running on Amazon or Apple's HomeKit or on Google Home as we move through and really purchase more equipment and more smart technology. Some of the big decisions for me that are coming up in the short term are which thermostat do we use and what light switches do we use. So I'm interested to hear what you all think. Please comment below as to which you recommend. Really interested in having some conversation about it. I have some hesitations with some of the popular choices out there. I'm going to throw it out there now. I read everywhere that the Lutron Caseta light switches are sort of as good as it gets. And I really like the sound of their reliability. It's great that they use a hub to sort of limit traffic on your Wi-Fi network. But I'm going to say it, I think they're kind of ugly. And having sort of pressed the buttons on them, I'm not too impressed with the actual construction of the light switch. That's just me. I want to make sure that, when we're investing a lot of money in light switches, that, it's the right decision for the next 10 years. And with, I'm hoping a number of thread light switches around the corner. Do I decide for those, or do we pull the trigger on one of the current options now? I'm going to list a couple that I'm considering. I like the look of all the Brilliant switches. The price tag's high, and there's some other challenges. The Wemo switches look better, I think, but I believe they run on Wi-Fi, so that could be a concern. And then I also like the look of the Legrand light switches. They kind of look just like normal light switches, but I don't have any experience with them, and I'm shopping around at the moment. So please let me know what you think. One mandatory thing I need from a light switch is for them to be dimmable. I really need to dim our lights. We have brand new lighting throughout the house, and it's very, very bright, which, although isn't a bad thing, we want to be able to dim them when we turn the lights on. Okay, so that is really the flying tour number 1 of my new off-grid smart home. Right now, as you can tell, there's only a little bit of smart technology, so that's going to change drastically over the next 12 months. Please let me know in the comments as well what you want me to be talking about. I can go into more depth about the solar system, about the generator backup system. We can talk about how we're going to expand the system and go into some of the challenges that winter brings when dealing with solar panels. I already have some great footage filmed of me this winter dealing with snow on the solar panels. But let me know what smart tech you're interested in hearing about. I'll be doing reviews, I'll be doing tours of the office once I've been able to really outfit it how we want, as well as some of the other rooms in the house. So comment below what you want to hear about. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Off-Grid Smart Home. Click subscribe if you like it so you see all future videos that come out. And thanks for watching. See you next time.